Welcome back. Yesterday, an Egyptian-Mauritanian summit took place as President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received his Mauritanian counterpart, Mohammed Ould Sheikh Ghazouani, who is currently in an official visit to Egypt. To shed more light on the importance of the summit and of the visit, we are very much delighted to have with us via phone Professor Hassan Wagih, Professor of Linguistics and Political Science. Thank you very much for being with us, sir.
To you.
Beg your pardon. Sir, how do you see the development of the Egyptian-Mauritanian ties in the past few years?
Actually, the visit was very important because Egypt and Mauritania shares several gatherings. We are in the African continent together, in the Arab League together, and in the Islamic organization together. So what connects Egypt with Mauritania is very extensive relationship on all sides.
Sir, when it comes to the Sahel region, when it comes to the national security of our brotherly nations, whether Arab, African, or both, this is something which is a top priority for the state, and this was announced more than once in many occasions by President Sisi. And the visit of yesterday of the Mauritanian president followed other visits by the Mauritanian Defense Minister and the Mauritanian Minister of Foreign Affairs. How do you see the exchange of visits among top officials, whether on the ministerial level or on the presidential level?
Actually, it tells us about the good relations with Mauritania, and it also tells us about how extensive is the organization and cooperation between the two nations. And actually, Mauritania is a democracy, is gaining ground, is having good resources, and also a stable country, and shares the issue of stability and spreading the stability, shares Egypt, especially the president called for security and stability, because this in itself an investment. Without stability and security, there wouldn't be any investment. So Mauritania is a stable country, Egypt is a stable country. We should work together to spread stability in a continent which really plagued by several conflicts, and we have seen the Sudanese problem lately, and other issues also in the continent needs collective efforts, the collective diplomacy to spread stability and security for sustainable development.
This is exactly what I wanted to focus on, as the agenda of talks included discussing ways to reach a comprehensive ceasefire in Sudan, the importance of holding elections in Libya to maintain its sovereignty and unity and the return back to its national institutions. In addition, of course, to the thorny issue of the so-called Ethiopian dam and the water security of Egypt. How do you see those files as topping the agenda of talks regarding regional issues of mutual concern?
Yes, of course, these all are very important and hot issues on the agenda of Egypt, and also Mauritania shares Egypt this agenda and shares Africa. And actually, when it comes to international levels, it is sharing of all moderate and all peace-loving voices in the world and fair-minded people. When it comes to water, yes, there should be, as the President frequently stated, we need an obligation through a treaty that would organize the flow of the water to all countries in a fair way. And also, I think that the President of Mauritania is extremely supporting this fair-minded orientation of Egypt, and shared by many voices in the international arena when it comes to water sharing, not water wars, of course.
Of course, and there are many practical examples, Dr. Wagih. I mean, with the discussions regarding boosting bilateral relations in the field of investment, economy, trade, commerce, and the Mauritanian president himself hailed the development process taking place in Egypt. This is to say that Egypt is not against the development of any country, vice versa. On the contrary, we are ready all the time to participate, to have a share, and to exchange experience and expertise with any of our brotherly nations to have all the time a win-win situation. How do you see this also as expanded talks among businessmen, whether from Mauritania or from Egypt? The joint higher committee is going also to convene to discuss other issues related to the economic field. How do you see this as a practical example of how Egypt is looking forward to continue on the path of development with our brotherly allies?
Yes, you eloquently put it. Yes, Egypt is seeking win-win approach, and that was for a long history of Egypt, and especially when it comes to the presidency of the continent during that period. The president enhanced this spirit very much. He talked to the parliament in several places and asserting the win-win, asserting that Egypt is keen to have sustainable development for every country. It is also a mutual thing that Egypt is seeking all the time. Mm-hmm. So, with the presence of the president of Mauritania, I think he's sharing all these kinds of joint efforts, and I think the cooperation that is taking place between the two countries reflects this reality when people are in the two countries are cooperating for promoting the economic agenda, sustainable development agenda, fighting terrorism agenda, and seeking stability and tranquility in all parts of Africa.
Yes, sir. And in many occasions, and I think in all meetings of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi with his counterparts whether from the Arab, the Islamic, or even the Western, our Western allies, the Palestinian cause is all the time there, is all the time found, taking into consideration that it's going to be all the time the main cause we have as Arabs, and to tackle efforts to return to the negotiating table and to put an end to the Palestinians' struggles and sufferings with the two-state solution, to preserve the rights of the Palestinian people for an independent Palestinian state with Al-Quds as its capital. This was also on top of the agenda of talks.
Oh, yes, of course. That was very asserted by the two presidents in their joint meeting, and I think that events, many events, show that there is no other alternative when it comes to win-win and the peace achieving in the area. There should be a Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. I think this will get the area into another track that is needed for everyone. And we have seen many events and even late events that tells us there should be some kind of good effort in directing the international arena together towards this two-state solution in Palestine.
Sir, you mentioned in one of your answers fighting or combating terrorism. And this is another important topic on the agenda of the summit. And we learned, I think the hard way, that when terrorism is there, it's a global phenomenon, not directed to a certain people or a certain country. So maintaining security in the Sahel region is part and parcel of our national security, if you agree with me on that.
Of course, fighting terrorism and fighting the roots of terrorism is an essential issue and essential agenda for Egypt and Mauritania and for all fair-minded people all over the world. And I think that Egypt is taking a great deal of burden when it comes to fighting terrorism, and we succeeded in fighting terrorism. But this is an ongoing issue that needs a lot of ongoing activities and the ongoing cooperation between all the countries. And I think that when it comes to a stable country and like Mauritania, yes, it is very important to enhance this agenda with people in Mauritania. And by the way, it is called the Islamic Republic of Mauritania.
Yes.
And this should tell you, and a very peaceful country and fighting terrorism. And terrorism, we let us assert this, that has no religion. Terrorism has no religion and
no nationality, by the way.
Yeah,
one final question, sir.
And I think this very needed to be asserted
yes.
because of the Islamophobic discourses all over the world. Yeah.
Yep. One final question, Professor Wagih, regarding a term or a phrase which was repeated more than once, whether in the speech of the president or his Mauritanian counterpart in the joint press conference. Joint Arab action, joint African action. The importance of being together, of standing side by side in international arenas. And the Mauritanian president thanked Cairo for supporting Mauritania in all international arenas. And this was very important to say. Egypt regained its position, whether on the African, Arab, or Islamic levels, having this pivotal role regionally and internationally. If you want to elaborate on that.
Yes, I can elaborate on that, of course, through the very, very well said speech by the Mauritanian President Mohammed bin Sheikh, because he mentioned several phrases that assert the regional ascendance of Egypt, and he said very nice statements when it comes, if Egypt is in the good track, the whole continent is in a good track.
Well, Professor Hassan Wagih, our political analyst and professor of linguistics and political sciences, thank you very much for your input, sir, and have a very good day. Well, I don't know if this is professional to say it this way or no, but we are lucky in Nile TV International to have the professor, or Al-Ustadh Hassan Hamid, as our mentor and the founder of Nile TV International. Well, media professionals and media figures celebrated in the Opera House the 89th Media Men Day, and a documentary was aired during this this gathering or this convention, speaking about Al-Ustadh, about the icon Hassan Hamid. Well, Nile TV International camera was there, and our correspondent Minna Dessouqi filed this report to celebrate together Al-Ustadh.